Hey, it's Liz Kelly, and welcome to the Ringer Podcast Network. True Detective is back, and the Ringer's Chris Ryan and Jason Concepcion are our guides as we navigate the twisting pathways of Season 3's plots, themes, and characters on The Flat Circle, a True Detective aftershow. Follow Jason and Chris as they chase down leads, explore each episode's cultural context, and discuss true crime cases that mirror the ones in the show. Join the guys live every Sunday night after True Detective on the Ringer's YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook pages.
3 depressed 30-somethings seek to relive their college days by starting a fraternity at Harrison College in upstate New York. What a good idea for a movie. Old School, coming up right now.
Sometimes you think you have true love, and then you catch the early flight home from San Diego.
Today, Mitch's life took an unexpected turn.
Heidi?
What are you doing home?
And a couple of nude people jump out of your bathroom blindfolded like a damn magic show.
Now,
Mitch, you're on the rebound. You're like an injured young fawn who's been nursed back to health, who's finally going to be re-released into the wilderness.
he's getting a little help from his friends.
We are officially starting a fraternity.
This is my house.
I heard you guys are starting up a fraternity.
Who told you that?
We're going streaking!
Old School.
You're crazy now.
All right, I'm Bill Simmons. Sean Fennessey is here. Chris Ryan is here. Fennessey showed up this week after a devastating bad beat in the Godfather podcast with not knowing where the Corleone compound was. We're going to do something we've never done before in the Rewatchables. At the tail end of this, we're going to do almost like Stat Boy and PTI, a couple of things we screwed up on the Godfather podcast. So it was the most important podcast of all of our lives.
I regret nothing.
If this is just a way for you to relitigate the things that we roasted you about, I'm going to be disappointed in you.
You roasted yourselves, my friends. You listen, history remembers that you think Frank Sinatra isn't cool. We're going to get to that later. Let's talk about Old School. It came out in 2003. It was weirdly an important movie for Will Ferrell, who
Definitely.
had not had a hit movie and had been on SNL at that point since October 1995, which is 7.5 years, and had transcended the show and is one of the best cast members they've ever had. I talked about that with Adam McKay on my podcast this week, but could not translate it into movies. And it was hitting a point where it was like, is this going to happen? And then it happened.
He had never had a starring role, though. This is the first time he really took on a big role in a movie.
You don't count Night at the Roxbury?
I guess that's true. I guess Night at the Roxbury was there.
By the
But
way, I stand for that movie.
I bet you do.
I do. I like that movie.
not really my thing. You're right, Night at the Roxbury. But he was really funny in Austin Powers. He was really funny in Zoolander.
I believe I've broken my leg.
But it's like, was he going to be this bit player cameo guy who comes in and just does an incredible 2 minutes and then is out of the movie? Or
Given the way that he owned SNL, it's not surprising that he owns movies now.
It's not surprising now. It was a question because we had massive SNL cast members and it hadn't translated, especially on the female side where, you know, Sandler, I think it translated. Farley, it really translated for one movie that is such like a loud, great
Tommy Boy
comedy that it feels like he had this great movie career and he really didn't. And by the time he died, he was, you know, making bit parts and dirty work, and he was in that terrible Matthew Perry movie.
Yeah.
Mike Myers had translated. It's hit or miss. Farrell, it seems so obvious now it should have translated. I don't know what happened for those 6 years.
It's funny. He did something. He tried to do the Mike Myers playbook. He tried to take a character from the show and make a movie out of it, and that was not successful. He didn't have a Wayne's World. And then 5 years go by before Old School comes along, and then this character kind of is the template for all the characters he would play in a movie. You know, like sweet, dumb, loud, like beta boy.
The switch can go off and he's whatever.
He can freak out at any time.
And also that the madness of domesticity, like the way in which like his like some of my favorite SNL characters he played, like the Dodge Stratus guy, you know what I mean?
Get off the shed!
Yeah, like that kind of like suburban insanity was something that he was really good at tapping into, and that's what Frank the Tank kind of is.
Dodge Stratus in Apex. Yeah, he really did. Frank the Tank is kind of the Dodge Stratus extension. So this also basically started the frat pack, which is a term I don't use in my everyday life. It seems like more of a media term.
It's invented,
an
I think.
actual term. It's invented. I don't think anybody really calls it that. But there is an era that we discussed a little bit on the Wedding Crashers pod this sets off an era from 2003 all the way through 2009, the R-rated comedy boom. Old School, 40-Year-Old Virgin, Wedding Crashers, Superbad, Step Brothers, Knocked Up, Forgetting Sarah Marshall, The Hangover. And when I hadn't watched Old School in a couple of years, it's rated R. It owns it early, and it's just the way it is. And it was kind of refreshing. That I think I'd watched it on cable with my kid, and I had forgotten how R it was.
It is in keeping with the kind of every 10 to 15 years frat movie that we now get. You know, we had Animal House, we have Revenge of the Nerds, we have PCU, there's every 10 or 12 years, there's another movie that fits right into this mold. And these movies have to be R to be effective. If they're not R,
there's no way to do this PG-13. And, you know, I mean, like, I think that there's a lot of, Todd Phillips and Scott Armstrong worked on this movie with Ivan Reitman, and it owes a lot to the Ivan Reitman comedies of the 80s.
Totally.
Yeah, and there was, if you go back, this movie's the son of those movies. And there was a run basically that starts with Animal House and goes all the way, I'm going to say, to like 83, 84 range, where it's like comedy plus nudity.
Yeah, when Stripes.
Stripes has one, Caddyshack, Easy Money with Rodney Dangerfield. Like there's a bunch of them.
Bachelor Party.
Revenge of the Nerds. There's always nudity. And it was just kind of came with the territory. And, you know, the mindset was like, let's give guys what they want. They want to laugh and they want to see some nudity. And it was just a different era. Horror movies were like that too. Horror movies always had nude scenes back then.
And then there were like, there was like Kentucky Fried Movie. When was that?
Yeah, that was
in the
mid-70s.
Yeah.
But I mean, this movie and the movies that came after it, especially the Judd Apatow movies, I felt like became kind of meta commentaries on those movies that came before. You know, the fact that the stars of these movies are in their 30s and they're reflecting on this like Arrested Development is itself like kind of a comment on why we're still interested in these movies.
And then you even see with that Apatow generation, guys like when they do Pineapple Express, they're basically trying to make their version of Midnight Run or 48 Hours or those kinds of action comedies, thriller comedies from the 80s, you know?
The era right before that, well, there's two eras right before. One is the let's turn all the SNL characters into a movie, which was happening. And then there was also, I would call it like a silly era where it's like Sandler and Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
And it's Ace like Ventura. These movies are funny. I don't think there's nudity in any of them.
They're more juvenile.
Yeah.
You know?
They're movies that my son by age 6 had seen all of them.
Yeah.
And none of them were that bad. My son would not watch
funny
R-rated
voices, fart jokes. Yeah.
I love fart jokes. And like, you know, I think Ace Ventura, like one of the funniest moments in that movie is he leans over and he goes, "Can I ask you a question?" with his ass. Like, it was just that kind of humor. It was stupid.
Yeah.
And then Austin Powers came
Fennessey
along.
humor.
Yeah, really my style. Yeah, classic. Well, there is a difference to me between Sandler and Carrey, and I think we talked about maybe doing a Sandler movie at some point this year. I think that would be fun to do, just to talk about like
I'm so ready
what his comedy is, and it to me was always very different from Jim Carrey. I like Jim Carrey, but Jim Carrey was larger than life, and Adam Sandler like created a character. Like he's basically the same kind of character for 10 movies, and they feel really far away from something like Old School. Old School has like a maturity to it, even though it's really juvenile and there's nudity and there's like pretty offensive humor in some places. There's something much more elevated about it. It has more ideas.
Well, and the Farrelly brothers should get some credit here too, because you're talking about Dumb and Dumber, Kingpin, Outside Providence, which I love, which isn't in the traditional sense. There's Something About Mary, which is one of the most successful comedies of all time.
Yep.
All of those kind of laid the ground for Road Trip.
Yep. Todd Phillips' first movie, first narrative movie.
And then what would eventually happen with the R-rated ones coming. So before this really starts in the
primarily
late 90s.
working in experimental film.
No, he was working in documentary.
I know.
His documentaries are amazing. I hope we talk about them. I'm incredibly interested in Todd Phillips' career.
Let's talk about it right now. He did the Frat House doc in like 97 or 98.
That's his second documentary. His first documentary, if people haven't seen it, is called Hated. It's about a punk rock singer named Gigi Allen, who is one of the most disgusting, vile, insane people in the history of human civilization. And it was his student film. It's an hour long. You can find it on YouTube. It is grotesque and really interesting. And it opened the doors for him in amazing ways. It got him an internship at HBO. It got him in the crook of the arm of Sheila Nevins, who ran docs at HBO. He helped develop Taxi Cab Confessions when he was there as an intern, worked on Taxi Cab Confessions.
Show. I think I've seen all of them.
And then he makes Frat House, which is this really interesting kind of template for the movie that we're going to talk about.
And also became controversial because didn't he
staged some scenes.
He staged a couple scenes.
Yeah, he like encouraged some of the kids. It's essentially just a depiction of a frat at Muhlenberg College.
He executive produce Project X?
He did.
Yeah,
yes. You can see that there's like, he has an obsession with how young men fuck up. Like that's kind of his, and then aging men too, I guess, when you get into The Hangover. But he also made a Fish documentary about the band Fish called Bittersweet Motel that is not bad.
Well, he also made hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yes.
Because whatever deal he had with The Hangover, The Hangover was a phenomenon and then spawned two really not that good sequels.
The story is that he did not take a check ahead of time for The Hangover and that he took only points and that he made $50 million on the original. That's the story that they tell.
Jesus.
So you can imagine how much he made on 2 and 3, which also
Chris
made
tried to
money.
do that with The Flat Circle, the True Detective show.
I did. I'm only taking
Don't
points.
pay me for this. I want
How's
points.
residuals looking on week 1?
I want points. I can get these YouTube comments up. So there's some good things going here. We have Todd Phillips, who had laid the groundwork. I thought Road Trip in the moment was really funny. I liked
liked it
that
too.
movie. Haven't seen it in a while.
Road Trip came out my freshman year of college, and I went to Ithaca College in upstate New York, and that movie is set at Ithaca University.
There's a lot of upstate New York college movies.
Yeah.
That could almost be a spin-off of the Rewatchables. Catches Will Ferrell when he needs to make a jump as a movie star. Little Vince Vaughn comeback. And so I don't want to step on half-ass internet research, but Todd Armstrong, who's his part? Scott Armstrong. And Todd Phillips, the writing partners, wrote the part of Bernard with Vaughn in mind, Vince Vaughn. Little comeback for him. Swingers. By 2003, an iconic character, Double Down Trent.
Yeah.
It's been 7 years. It's made the rounds on cable for years and years, DVD, the whole thing.
A generation of men quoting those lines at bars. Yeah.
So we'll do Swingers at some point.
Great.
Problem is, he gets weird and starts doing a couple serious movies. Does the Bizarre Psycho remake, which I still don't know how I feel about all these years later.
Yeah.
And at some point, studios decided he wasn't funny anymore. And they talk about that. Vince Vaughn said they didn't think I could do comedy. Todd really had to push for me. I think he even told them to watch me on Letterman to see I could be funny. I would have shown them Swingers. I don't know how hard this was.
Yeah. I mean, it's not, it's funny. Like in the comedy movies or the comic movies that Vince Vaughn does, he's basically doing the Bill Murray thing. He's just playing Vince Vaughn. He's just playing this smart ass character. But for 3 or 4 movies, he's like the funniest thing, of the decade on screen.
I think this is my favorite of his movies. I think this is the funniest I've ever found him. He's like a revelation in Swingers, and that's one of the coolest characters ever. But everything he says in this movie is funny. And it is funny that it took him like a 4-year rest period before he went back into comedies, because basically right after this, he kind of only makes comedies for the next 5 or 6 years.
He went kind of too hard.
Yeah.
In comedies.
He does Dodgeball,
Starsky and Hutch,
and then Wedding Crashers.
Wedding Crashers, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and he's kind of jokey in that movie.
I still don't understand why Starsky and Hutch happened. Nobody's ever explained that one to me.
It's a misstep for like everybody who's involved.
It was such a waste of all of these dudes at a great point of their career.
Yep.
That, I don't know, this whole remake culture, which now I don't think people do anymore. If they're remaking something, they'll completely reinvent it.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of like parodying things that had happened 20,
But is
30
it that
years
much
ago.
different than, I mean, don't you think it's just like that was a show those guys grew up on? They thought it was cool?
Yeah, but I think they thought that was going to be a huge movie.
Oh, yeah.
I thought when that trend started, it was actually really interesting because I thought like the Brady Bunch movie and the Addams Family.
That Brady Bunch movie worked.
I thought those movies were good and they were trying to reinvent them. And then by the time we got to Starsky and Hutch and the Dukes of Hazzard and those movies,
Chips.
Those movies didn't work as well because they were trying to just make them pure comedies.
Yeah.
And they weren't pure comedies. Like the structure was meant to be like episodic television where you're like, I just like hanging out with these guys.
I think there's like a huge mistake where
Charlie's
like
Angels
a bunch of
another.
people were just super into the Beastie Boys Sabotage video and they were like, well, this would work as a movie.
It's true.
But with movie stars and it just doesn't.
So filmed budget was $24 million, made $76 million in North America, another $11 million abroad. Success, not a massive success.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's been a success after the fact, I'm sure, with DVDs and on demand and all that stuff.
It's a classic like in
TNT,
the dorms.
Yeah.
TBS, HBO, whatever. The film received mixed to positive reviews, 60% in Rotten Tomatoes, which brings us to one of my favorite categories, Roger Ebert. tough. He panned Old School. He said, I avoid altogether the question of Old School's veracity and move on to its humor, which is easy to master because there's so little of it.
Yeah.
This is not a funny movie.
Yeah.
That was one of his sentences.
So
tough beat for Roger.
My take on Raj.
He's 0 for 2 in 2018.
He's never to be trusted on comedies. That's just a general rule. I don't look to him. I don't really look to many film critics.
I would say that comedy in general is a difficult thing to write critically about.
Yes.
Because you're just essentially, if it's funny, there's not a ton to say else besides this is really funny.
Yeah.
The idea of even making a gesture towards the veracity of a movie like this is how you know Roger Ebert is not looking at this movie correctly. Because who cares? Like it is a stunt comedy. That's the whole point.
So Ferrell rips off Old School Elf Anchorman, just back to back to back. Jesus.
What a run.
That's a nice, we always talk about the 3 movie runs. That's a good one. And then that's it. Then we're off. And movies are really funny here for about 6-7 years, and we had a nice little run.
Things are so different now.
Yeah.
It's weird to think about a time when every year you could count on 3 or 4 movies being really, really funny and big hits. It's not the case right now.
Where comedy is going, we're not going to litigate on this one. And in fact, we don't want to spend this podcast talking about would this have worked in 2019, because we did that a little too much probably in the Wedding Crashers pod. The reality is every year is different. This movie is fucking funny.
Great.
And I don't care. It's just funny. This is the way it came out in 2003. Shit happens. All right, we're going to get to the categories. Most rewatchable scene. Interesting. I have 4. You guys might want to add one. Frank the Tank at Mitchapalooza.
Mm-hmm.
That whole stretch, ending with the streaking and the ladies driving
hits your lips.
Slowly realizing it's...
Bring your green hat.
Blowjob class. That scene's incredible.
Okay.
Dart gun birthday party.
Yeah.
That's how I would describe it.
Would you include also the regifting of the bread maker for the 3rd time in there?
In Dart gun birthday party?
Yeah, like is it the whole birthday party?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's the whole birthday party. And then Blue dies during a KY wrestling match.
Uh-huh. Does that also lead into Blue's funeral, and Will Ferrell singing?
Yeah.
Man, I have a lot of other nominations.
Go ahead. Give me some.
I'm going to go when they're first meeting in the kitchen at Luke Wilson's new place.
Earmuffs.
And also him fucking walking around with a hockey stick and just destroying things. And just that first introduction to the concept of the movie. But their interplay is, I think I've watched that scene 8 times this week. And just everybody knows the guy who would pick up the hockey stick. And like while you're having a conversation would just start being like Chris Chelios all of a sudden. You're just like, what's your fucking problem? Like, put the hockey stick down. We're having a conversation. It's like the guy with the bat. Like, hey, this is cool, huh? Like,
yeah, then you're just afraid something's going to break the whole time. I had that in moments. I didn't have that first scene.
Okay.
I guess it's a short scene, but it could definitely be in there.
I really like the first time we meet Jeremy Piven's character. Cheese. Like that whole bit is very, very funny. And it's a weirdly good Piven performance as he's kind of like subverting his PCU character. You know, like he's old enough now to be the dean and not the older flunky at a college.
No Entourage yet, by the way.
Oh, it's pre-Entourage.
It's pre-Entourage. It was a year. He hadn't, I was going to talk about his toupee later, but he hadn't figured out the right toupee yet. And,
so I like that one. I really like even just the opening setup with going home to Juliette Lewis. And she's got 2 people in the bathroom, and then Todd Phillips shows up at the door.
Do you want me to tell you this is the first time, or do you want me to tell you this is the truth?
Really good Juliette Lewis performance in this movie. She's funny.
I had her, we're getting to her later.
Okay.
But yeah, I think...
That sounds great.
I wanted to put the Juliette Lewis scene in most rewatchable scene, but I didn't want you to think I was a weirdo.
It's just
I thought that was so funny.
It's a great comedy.
We've seen versions of that so many times where the guy walks home and hears noises in the bedroom and it's like, what's going on in there?
Yeah.
And in that one, it's like, oh, she's just watching porn. Well, that's weird. And then all of a sudden, people are coming out with blindfolds.
Yeah.
It's great.
Really good Luke Wilson performance in that scene. It's like, no, let's go with this.
Yeah, this is a turn on.
Is this what you do when I'm away?
Yeah, I think it's probably my favorite Juliette Lewis performance.
No,
of the grown-up
Natural Born
versions.
Killers.
Yeah, got to be Natural Born Killers in California.
Yeah, but she freaks me out. I don't like when I'm going to go on the lam with a serial killer and I haven't eaten in 10 weeks. Juliette Lewis.
She's just always been really funny, and I feel like this is her first real comedy.
Yeah, There's some rom-com she was in where she's like the friend and she's really good in that.
Okay.
That I'm blanking on. But I agree. I think she's an untapped resource.
Totally. She was tapped on camping this year, unfortunately.
Sadly.
Whole other conversation.
Yeah, it seems like about 10 years ago, there's some HBO show she could have been the helm of and would have been really good and had all of these things that could have happened with her. So what's the most rewatchable, Chris?
I'm gonna go with the hockey stick scene.
Over Frank the Tank's resurgence?
Yeah.
Wow. I'm going Frank the Tank. When Frank the Tank comes back to life, I'm there every time.
Might take, but we're going streaky! Yes! No, I'm sorry. Sorry, we're going streaking through the quad and into the gymnasium. Come on, everybody! Come on, Stoop!
Does the Frank the Tank scene lead all the way into them stumbling across him streaking?
Yeah.
His wife finding him?
So does it include Vince Vaughn doing a Speaker City speech from the city?
It starts from when the guys are trying to get Frank the Tank to have a drink. And
Nice
he's like,
little Saturday
I
plans.
can't.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he's like, just
I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go with that.
Yeah.
Yo, man, come hit this right here. You need to hit this.
Oh, yeah. No, I appreciate it, but I told my wife I wouldn't drink tonight. Besides, I got a big day tomorrow. But you guys have a great time.
A big day? Doing what?
Well, actually, pretty nice little Saturday. We're gonna go to Home Depot. Yeah, buy some wallpaper, maybe get some flooring, stuff like that. Maybe Bed Bath & Beyond. I don't know. I don't know if we'll have enough time.
You know what?
You know what? Give me that thing. I'll do one.
We gonna do one.
Man, I'm torn. There's so many other good ones, like Vince Vaughn watching his commercial and mouthing along to it. I love that scene. The scene where Will Ferrell's working on the car and he's talking to her about took the restrictor plate off.
Not exactly street legal.
There is this fine line. This is a tough thing with the comedies because is that a moment or is that a scene?
Yeah,
I was going to say the same thing about the wedding in the beginning. And just like her walking up the aisle and him just being like, it takes a real man to give away an angel.
I had for What's Age the Best, which we'll get to in a second.
Always smiling, always watching.
When they're all in the church and he's like, this is such a fucking mistake. You got to run. And like, that just kills me.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
But before we go to take some whatever to do the angel.
Yeah.
When he's just like under his breath muttering and just like killing Will Ferrell. That just kills me.
There's even some really good Luke Wilson scenes. You know, I feel like Luke Wilson meeting Ellen Pompeo for the first time and he's drunk and he's like, Denver, the Sunshine State, gorgeous. You know, he's like channeling his brother.
It's a good Luke Wilson.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to pick.
Hold the Luke Wilson conversation.
Okay. I'll go earmuffs along with Chris. I think that is probably the most, aside from we're going streaking, the most iconic thing that happens in the movie.
Yeah.
That's the thing that I feel like was most repeated in my life.
So I realized rewatching this movie that earmuffs came from this movie because I just felt like it had been around much longer, but it really did.
I don't know if it's a Vince Vaughn throwaway, like an ad lib or something, but yeah. I mean, it's entirely possible that earmuffs was something that you had heard around LA, like in the early 2000s or whatever, but that Vince Vaughn also heard or something.
I owe royalties to Vince Vaughn. I've used that joke a lot,
I
especially
think
in the Ringer office.
That is used a lot.
Yeah. But I always thought it was just a thing. I didn't realize it was Vince Vaughn. I should be paying him a trademark.
First time I heard it was in this movie.
Let's play that clip.
And the fact is, I got 40 strangers out in my living room, and all I want to do is get some fucking sleep. So I'm sorry, but we're not starting a fraternity.
I don't know why you got to do it in front of the kid with the effing. All you got to do is say earmuffs to him. Earmuffs. And they can say fuck, shit, bitch, whatever you want.
Cock, balls.
Okay, I'm just proving a point. You don't have to celebrate it, Frank.
What's age the best? In no particular order. Luke Wilson getting frisked at TSA and just disrobing. This was like probably, I don't know, a year and a half after 9/11. It was the first time I remember somebody really having fun with 9/11 TSA. It was just really good. It really worked. It was funny.
Set to one of the best songs literally of all time, Ryan Adams' To Be Young, which is like such a cool way to kick off the movie. I love that song.
Ellen Pompeo, who is about to become one of the biggest and most bankable TV stars of the last 40 years, but in this movie is just the cute lady that Luke Wilson has a crush on.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's weird to say. It feels like it's like her daughter almost at this point. Grey's Anatomy's been on for what, 16 years?
Yeah.
And she's like a baby in this movie. It's kind of almost jarring.
Not one of the best written parts I've ever seen. I'm not really sure what her character is thinking or what her inner life is.
We're going to get to some of the issues with that relationship. Perry Reeves.
Yeah.
Jeremy Piven's wife in Entourage really looked exactly the same as she did in Entourage. She's
and in Kicking and Screaming.
Ageless.
She looks exactly the same in Kicking and Screaming, which is how many years? 7 years before this, right?
She's good. I feel like somebody market corrected her, and I don't know who it was.
That's a good question.
I feel like she should have had a bigger career.
I love her. She's
I like
great.
her in everything she does. I think she's really good. Like she, at the very least, should have been on some CBS show making $1 million an episode for 8 years, being married to some fat guy.
I think she is on a TV show now. I don't know what the show is. I think she's on like a network sitcom right now.
Earmuffs has aged. I mean, it's probably going to win this category. The Dan Band?
I was just going to say that.
The what?
The Dan Band.
The wedding band.
Oh, yeah.
Who are these guys? Wait, like in 2003, it's like, what's happening now? We've seen them in a bunch of other movies, but everything leads to when they cut to Vince Vaughn, he's got the hand up, ladies. Oh my God, it's so funny. But the Dan Band was just great. They're swearing
So
during
what's
the
the
wedding
origin
song.
story with those guys? What's the deal with them?
When I see the fucking look in your eyes.
If you freeze frame the look on Will Ferrell and Perry Reeves' face, the first time he drops the fucking every now and then.
Every now and then I get a little bit terrified. I see the fucking look in your eyes.
Is so funny where they're reacting.
And she's kind of like, no, we didn't hear. Like she shakes her head like we didn't hear it.
It's like not subtle, but subtle. You know, like if you're not actually paying attention, if you're just looking at your phone, you forget that this is the whole Dan Band bit. Those guys are, they're in another Todd Phillips movie. And he's had like a TV show. And also, he wrote a song.
Well, they're in The Hangover, too.
They're in The Hangover.
They've been in like 3 or 4 movies. And I don't know if it's still the case, but last decade, they were like LA legends. Like it was, you know, my wife's friend Shannon was good friends with them. And my wife probably went to like 5 or 6 Dan Band
So like, where would they play? Like just at
They
bars
would play
and
at
stuff?
like bigger bars.
Okay.
And,
They were on Jimmy's show.
yeah, they liked smaller venues where they could interact with the audience, but the show was really great. Like it was that much fun every time.
So the guy, Dan, who's the leader of the band, co-wrote one of the songs in Dumplin', the Netflix movie
yeah? Oh,
wow.
this year. Yeah, so he's also like kind of a songwriter on the low.
Okay.
The Dan Band. Snoop Dogg's aged really well. They catch Snoop Dogg at a great point of his career.
Yeah.
It's a really good Snoop Dogg song.
It's
that
a
he plays.
really good Snoop Dogg. Who's
Papered Up.
Who's the second person in there?
Cocaine.
Yeah.
So it's a good snapshot of a moment in Snoop Dogg time. Because it's Snoop, it's Cocaine, Warren G is his DJ, and it's when he went everywhere with Don Magic Juan, the pimp, and
that was like his side guy.
He was there all the time, and like, where's Don Magic Juan
and
now?
he did Old School to get in Starsky and Hutch. That was like the trade-off.
Is that the story? Interesting.
Yeah. That's why, because it's actually like, why is he in this?
Yeah. Well, it's also just like one of those things in movies where you're just like, what the fuck are we doing? Like a 4-minute musical performance in this movie?
Melissa McCarthy made a movie last year called Life of the Party that is basically like a solo Old School about how she goes back to school, she joins a sorority, and it ends in a sort of a similar Old School fashion with a Christina Aguilera performance. And it's weird how much it just kind of lifts from this movie. Like that kind of invented something.
Craig Kilborn.
What were you going to say? That's aged the best?
Yeah, it was fun seeing him. It was fun seeing Kilby.
I think the sensation of seeing
That's
Kilborn
what I mean. It's like, oh fuck, Craig Kilborn's in this movie. I forgot.
I would say that he is maybe the first person to ever show up in what's aged the worst and what's aged the best.
Well, you're stepping on where we're going with this, but yeah, the sensation of being like, oh yeah, Craig Kilborn.
Yeah.
Whoa.
It's really weird to see Vince Vaughn and Will Ferrell throwing 100 and Craig Kilborn like completely unable to act. Like it's staggering how like terrible. He's like funny and his character is obviously like complicated, but he really can't act. Like he's just not an actor. And you can really tell because you've got a lot of super professional people around him.
So do you know if that was like an option for him at the time? Was that like a thing he was thinking about doing?
First of all, I think that he thinks it was a huge success.
I mean, it was in a way. It's a very memorable character. He's kind of a great
Mark
shitheel.
Yeah.
Mark, yeah.
He's in 2 scenes, and then he crashes in the closing credits.
Right.
But he's reading his lines like he would read Daily Show jokes. And like, that's not how you act. Even in a comedy, that's not how you act.
This is really a dissection of.
Well, I've thought
there's
about
some
it.
reason he hasn't kept acting.
It's true. That's true.
I liked him as as far as stunt casting goes, it worked. Great closing credits in this movie have aged the best.
Yeah.
They really put some thought into.
Yeah.
Check it out if you haven't seen the closing credits of this movie, America. But it ends with the first thing is Kilborn crashes while he's smoking a cigarette, goes over a bridge and kills a fly fishing Jeremy Piven. And the car blows up. Both of them die. And then there's a couple other things too. But it's like 2.5 minutes of closing credits, basically.
Can you remember the first time somebody did that where they put kind of story inside the credits? It's very common in comedies. Like, I don't think this was necessarily the first one.
I want to say, God, I haven't seen Porky's in so long. But I want to say the closing credits were all the bloopers. One of the movies from back then did just bloopers as the closing credits. Smoking the Bandit, not Smoking the Bandit, Cannonball Run did it.
that is the blooper reel.
Yeah, so
and
maybe
then there
that's
are
before
ones where I
Porky's.
think that they do like what happened to the people after the movie ended, kind of like a quick scene of like,
That was
and then they
Animal,
got married.
Animal House invented,
Yeah.
or invented making fun of that whole thing.
And then Todd Phillips, like masters this with the Hangover closing credits. That's like one of the best closing credits ever with the Polaroids.
Yeah.
That's such a genius.
I would say for me, that's the number one closing credits of all time.
So funny. I remember loving that.
It was a really good movie, and I actually thought the closing credits, the first time in the theater, actually pushed it to a whole other level.
Yeah, you walk
I
out
was like, that's
rocking.
actually my favorite part of the movie. And then you walk it out. And then the soundtrack. So we got Papered Up, Paid in Full, Fun Night, Dust in the Wind, Hungry Like the Wolf, Gonna Make You Sweat, The Sound of Silence, Here I Go Again, Total Eclipse of the Heart, and Lady. It's fucking murderers, row
And Master of
weird
Puppets.
music.
Yeah.
Metallica.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, Here I Go Again, I think is played 4 times. That's a lot of Whitesnake.
So that's how age the best. What do you have, Chris? What's age the best? Not Craig Kilborn for you.
Not Craig Kilborn for me. I don't know.
I think this is the best Luke Wilson. I think this is.
You think his performance is age the best?
This and Tenenbaums are the two. That's the alpha and the omega of Luke Wilson.
Yeah,
because he was a good everyman for a while. And
do you want to have this conversation now?
What category were you going to save it for?
Probably unanswerable questions at the end.
Okay.
Okay. We'll save it.
What do you think is age the best?
I mean, it obviously literally launches Will Ferrell to become probably my favorite comedy star of the century. I think he's made me laugh more at movies than anybody else since 2000. So that's pretty good legacy.
I would say Earmuffs is age the best.
Yeah.
Okay.
Earmuffs, because people still say it.
Okay. It's really in there, and you don't feel like you're just being the loser who's saying a movie line. It's actually just part of conversation.
Yeah,
that's true.
Earmuffs.
Yeah, it's like Kleenex. It's just taken over.
Yeah.
What's age the worst?
Can I ask you a philosophical question about this?
Yeah.
Because, we're going to keep doing comedies and we all like these movies.
I just want to zip through it. I made it a very short list.
But is what's age the worst what's become offensive now or what just seems kind of like antiquated? Because there's a difference to me. Like sometimes an action scene in a movie will just like look like shit and they would never make it that way if a movie
like
was
if you
made
see
in
a
1984.
gunfight in the 70s, it's just red paint all over a guy.
Exactly.
I think it's what's age the worst? What's age poorly?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Well, in this case, it would be Elisha Cuthbert's character aging the least, I think, probably.
Well, I had her at the top of the list. She's in high school.
Okay.
That's probably a bigger problem these days.
Could be an issue.
Kilborn's acting.
It's tough.
Brutal.
Piven's toupee. He really had to go back to the shop and figure out a better look.
I think he looks great.
Why is Artie Lang in this movie?
It's a misuse of Artie Lang.
That's what I mean.
And
Why
Matt
is he in
Walsh,
this
too.
movie?
Yeah, two of the funniest guys.
Why is Artie Lang in this movie?
Probably a favor. I mean, I'm sure he needed the money at the time.
Artie, you're going to be in this movie. Don't make any jokes and play this completely serious. Bizarre.
What year is Dirty Work? Is Dirty Work
Work's
after
98.
this?
I'll ride Dirty Work to the death.
Dirty Work's funny. So this is after Dirty Work.
It's like 5 years after.
That's depressing.
He's on Howard Stern at this point, I think.
Yeah.
It's tough. Weird. It's like, I don't know why he's in it. And then James Carville. It's aged the worst 2 different ways. One, he's just kind of like, why is he in this?
Yeah.
And then 2, it's 16 years later. So if you're Craig, you're like, who's that? I don't even know who that is.
One of the flaws of the movie, I think, is when it starts to become too much like Back to School. where there's like a competition element to it.
But that happens in a lot of these movies where like that also happens in Stripes where they actually go to war. And you're just like, why is this happening?
Yeah.
I just want to go back to the basic training stuff.
I think Animal House started it, and then the next 10 years of comedies ripped off where it's like there has to be some sort of conflict scene that you win. Then that died, and then it came back with this. Honestly, the last 15 minutes of trying to figure out how to get back in, it's entertaining, but it's
okay. It's not bad.
Ill-conceived.
Yeah, it just
it could have been better.
It forces you to have like stunts like the Carville thing because it's like, how do we make this actually interesting?
Craig, do you know who James Carville is?
Mainly just from Bill Hader on SNL.
Amazing.
Yeah. See, there you go. Casting what ifs. Oh, what's age the worst? Cuthbert?
I think, Luke Wilson sleeping with a high school girl is kind of a tough beat.
And then the high school girl, he's on a date with Ellen Pompeo.
And she's like, hey.
She's talking about prom plans.
Sorry, I didn't call you back.
Now, to be fair, she might have been 18.
Sure.
That wouldn't have aged quite as badly.
Right. Good corner for you. No, this is a good corner for you.
17 would have been tough. It would have been illegal.
I think, isn't there a line when he's with Terry O'Quinn and he's like, she's about to be a senior?
Yeah, that's tough.
She's 7 months away from college.
Oh, okay.
I believe is what he says.
Yeah.
This is kind of a Stefania Simonetti Godfather situation, Chris learning about the Sicilian child bride.
I knew about this.
It's a little murkier.
Yeah.
She's either 17 or 18. Either way, not great.
Not great.
Casting what ifs. I have none.
Not a lot of info.
I looked.
Yeah.
Not a lot of info.
They wrote it for Vaughn.
What's weird is there's been so many oral histories about movies. I thought for sure there would be the old school oral history, and there is none.
There's no drama here. There's no story about how it almost failed or it didn't work. It was kind of like everybody right place, right time. That's it. That's the story.
Yeah.
And there's a long tradition of movies like this, and they just kind of nailed this one.
Yeah, I think it would probably be more interesting to find out about why they never did a sequel to this or like what was wrong with the because they did do a script.
Yeah, they wrote a script.
Yeah, for the sequel.
It sounds like Vince Vaughn and Will Ferrell just didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
But I guess the idea was that it would be like a spring break movie.
Dion Waiters Award. Biggest heat check of the movie. I'm putting Craig Kilborn in there just because I think he thinks it was a heat check.
Definitely.
Juliette Lewis was incredible.
Amazing.
She's only in 2 scenes. And one of them, I think, is the closing credits where she invites him to come to basically what's going to be an orgy. The
supermarket, yeah.
She's basically like an amateur porn star before we even knew there were amateur porn stars. The Dan Band.
Mm-hmm. Good one.
And the guy who played Blue.
Oh, I have another nominee here.
Give me another one.
Sean William Scott.
Oh, yeah.
No question.
As the animal trainer. The move he pulls on that, was that like a goat? The move he pulls on that goat where he like yanks the chain, he's like, shut up. to the goat. It's really funny.
Do you know what Sean William Scott's character's name is?
No.
It's Peppers.
Peppers?
Yeah.
It was his last name.
Yeah.
Really good.
And his
Bob
reaction
Peppers.
to the dart gun
You just took one of the jugular, man.
Yes! That's awesome! What? You just took one in the jugular, man! Whoa. Yes! Oh my God.
It's really good.
I have Juliette Lewis as the winner.
Okay. I'll definitely I'm not going to
I
protest
thought
that.
she had like 5 threes in 9 minutes.
I have one other nominee is Brian Callen playing like the Greek waiter in the diner.
Oh,
when
yeah.
he comes over and he's like,
Godfather.
it is on me, Godfather. That is a weird performance.
Your money is no good here.
So Brian Callen is my favorite guy who didn't totally make it
He never
from
made
that
it.
era.
Yeah. He was on Mad
I
TV,
really
right?
liked him in a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah. He's funny.
He was like on Inside Schwartz, and it just seemed like he had a bad agent. I feel like if you reset his career, maybe he's in the frat
Doesn't
pack.
he do like a lot of like UFC podcasting stuff now?
Maybe. I always thought
Like he's
really
like in
talented.
the Rogan universe a little bit or something?
That sounds right. He's he was on the first cast of Mad TV,
Was he?
if I recall.
He's really funny.
He's funny.
I'm adding to what's age the worst, Brian Callen's agent.
Okay.
Because I'm upset that his career wasn't bigger.
What about Terry O'Quinn?
He wasn't really a Dion Waiters.
I mean, he's in 2 scenes.
He's uncredited too, right?
It's pre-Lost,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
But it's post X-Files.
It's post X-Files. It's just kind of that's a weird part.
Yeah. Do you think he was just like, cool? Sounds good.
What was the paycheck for that?
I don't know.
I think he really wasn't that much of a actor at that point. I think he was just like a bit guy who was in weird movies.
He was.
Lost was a career resurgence for him.
That's true.
I have Juliette Lewis. Who do you have?
I'll go Juliette Lewis too.
Chris?
About a Juliette Lewis, but I'm a big Sean
Congrats
Williams.
to Juliette Lewis.
Big
Shout
Sean
out to
Williams
you,
guy.
Wait, what
Juliette.
about Andy Dick?
We're going to get to Andy.
Okay.
Let's take a break to talk about Proper Cloth. This year set a realistic goal to wear a shirt that fits from collar to cuff. Every Proper Cloth shirt is made to order, so it's guaranteed to be unique to you. Just answer 10 simple questions to get your custom shirt size. Then choose from over 20 collar styles, 10 cuff styles, 500 fabric styles from classic to business to casual. They work with the best fabric producers from around the world. Each one of their shirts goes through extensive quality control testing. You're getting the absolute best quality and craftsmanship. Best of all, Proper Cloth guarantees a perfect fit, meaning if your shirt doesn't fit perfectly, they will remake it for free. It's the future of shirts. Looking better has never been this easy. It starts at just $80. Stop wearing shirts that don't fit. Start looking your best with a custom fitted shirt. Go to propercloth.com. /rewatchables today. propercloth.com/rewatchables. Enter gift code rewatchables to save $20 on your first shirt. And since we're here, Sean Fennessey's The Big Picture.
Yes.
Oscars race is coming, and you guys did another podcast without me, LA movies. Fuck you. Fuck both of you.
Okay, that's very
Top
civil.
5
Did
LA
you see
movies.
my list?
I didn't listen to it yet.
Cool.
There
Top 5 LA movies.
are 0 Michael Mann movies on
No
Chris's
Collateral
list.
on LA.
I specifically said these are. I was going to pick Michael Mann. I was
See,
going to
the
challenge
top
myself.
5 gimmick for that. And Chris Ryan has The Flat Circle. True Detective after show.
Sunday
premiering
nights.
Sunday night.
Yeah.
And you're high on this True Detective season.
I am high on this. I'm
High on your own supply.
I am. You wouldn't get the straight answer from me anyway, but it's a good show.
And you have The Watch.
I do. Monday and
And
Thursday.
you have the Ringer group chat.
I do. Thursdays.
You're doing a lot. Should I write you a note?
He always believed in you, Chris.
I always believed in you, Chris.
He always thought you could be the next Indiana Jones.
Half-assed internet research. In 2006, a sequel called Old School Dose was written by Scott Armstrong,
Dose,
but turned down by original stars Will Ferrell and Vince Vaughn. The story concerned the aging fraternity going to spring break. Ferrell said in 2008, I read the script, some super funny set pieces, but I don't know. I think Vince had the same reaction. We're just doing kind of the same thing again. We went to spring break, but we've got to find this guy who's the head of a fraternity. Once again, funny things. It's just once again us back in a fraternity setting. It felt like it was repeating. Maybe I'm overthinking it. I just felt like I would have seen Old School Dose. I'm sad. It probably would have been bad. I wish it had happened. Maybe Netflix can just bring everyone back for $175 billion.
Well, The Hangover 2 is a tough beat, and The Hangover 3 is close to an abomination. So I'm not sure that I really need Old School 2.
Of all the movies,
Old School Dose.
of these movies around this time, so Wedding Crashers, Old School, I don't know, Dodgeball.
Comedy sequels don't work.
But which of these did you want a sequel for the most? Like, which would you want? Like Wedding Crashers 2? Would you want Dodgeball 2? Would you want Old School 2?
Old School 2. I'm into that one the most.
I rarely want this. You know, I mean, what's a great comedy sequel in the history of movies?
Austin Powers.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Caddyshack 2 was one of the biggest tragedies of 1985 or whatever year that was.
This actually came up with McKay, and I loved when you were talking to McKay and he brought up Wayne's World 2, which I think I might have even brought up on this podcast before, but I think is genius movie.
2 is solid.
Really fun.
Anchorman 2 is going to have a life as soon as it gets off Epix.
Yeah. I don't need Old School Dose though.
And Anchorman 2 is it Anchorman 1 or Anchorman 2 that they basically shot like 2 movies worth of movies?
That's Anchorman 1. Anchorman 2
no,
is
Anchorman 2 they basically have an alternate movie of it.
No, that's 1.
No, but 2 they have it too.
The same thing?
Yeah, 2 they have like 5 hours of footage from it.
Oh.
Well, I'll tell you one person who was ready to see Old School Dose. In 2016, Luke Wilson was game, saying, I, of course, would do it at the drop of a hat.
Luke Wilson.
More internet research. Todd Phillips plays the guy who knocks on Luke Wilson's door earlier on and says, I'm here for the gangbang.
I believe he reprises that role in most of his movies. He was wearing like the curly wig.
Yeah.
The perm wig.
He's in The Hangover as that guy, right? Yeah.
In the streaking sequence, Will Ferrell ran naked for real and apparently horrified locals at a 24-hour gym. He also said they filmed the streak in 2 different parts, and the second part was in front of everybody during the Stoop Dogg performance, and that he needed to get a little drunk beforehand to do it. So, do you know the name of the guy who played Blue?
No.
I don't.
Patrick Crenshaw.
Is that relevant?
He had been acting in films for 50 years before Old School. It was his role as Blue that finally made him famous, although I will say he played the sheriff in all the Air Bud movies.
Oh.
So there you go for that. He died shortly after the movie, like about 4 years later. The house that Wilson's friends transformed into the home of their new fraternity is a real residential house located in Pasadena.
Quite obviously.
On Bushnell Avenue.
It's like so obviously LA.
It's been used for 3 Michael J. Fox movies.
Really?
Can you name them?
Doc Hollywood.
Nope.
This is a really good question.
Yeah, thanks.
Back to the Future.
Ding.
The Secret of My Success.
I was going to say The Secret of My Success. That's New York, though.
How do you not guess Back to the Future 2?
Oh, Back to the Future 2.
Jesus.
Okay. Is it Back to the Future 3 as well?
No.
Okay.
Back to the Future 1 and 2.
What else is he in? Oh, what's the Hard Way?
It's a movie very near and dear to my heart.
Oh, Teen Wolf.
Teen Wolf.
Wow.
Of course.
You should buy that house.
J. Fox just banging out movies
That
on
seems like a
Bushnell
more
Avenue.
attainable place to get than the Boogie Nights house.
I'm just going to...
Just Redfin it right now.
I just want to go over there. I'll Redfin it after. I think it was the neighborhood. I don't know if it was the exact house. It was a 2-block stretch.
Okay.
So, yeah, there you go. That's it. We covered all the other ones. Apex Mountain. Tough one. Craig Kilborn.
No. Sports Center.
No. I think the first season of Kilborn on The Daily Show, I was like, wow, this is a thing.
I thought he was like God on Sports Center. I thought he was like the funniest person I've ever seen.
I think first year Daily Show was what I would go for. I will say that Kilborn probably thinks this was his Apex Mountain because he had the CBS late night show and the old school cameo. And people love this movie and they liked him in it.
It's not a cameo. He has like a part in this movie.
I would say this is where it starts to fall apart for Craig Kilborn. I also really like Craig Kilborn, don't get me wrong.
I like him too. He's been on this podcast, or my podcast. Will Ferrell?
Can't be his Apex Mountain. No. What's his Apex Mountain?
I think it's Anchorman.
Is it Anchorman?
It's Anchorman. Yeah. Making that movie, having that movie succeed, which is, it's insane. You could, it has to be his movie career. Something from his movie career has to be the Apex, because the SNL Apex is 2000 when he's doing Strategery as Bush and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Vince Vaughn.
I say yes. I say this is not only the best he's ever been, but this revived
it's
him.
The run of Dodgeball, this Dodgeball and Wedding Crashers. And he gets out from under like doing the Cell and stuff like that.
I'm going to go Wedding Crashers, which I think was a year later.
Okay.
Because
and that was a bigger
now
hit.
It's not a fluke. Now it's like, wow, Vince Vaughn is one of the biggest stars we have. And then like right around then also started dating Jennifer Aniston, maybe, not maybe, when they were filming The Breakup. And he's on the cover of Us Weekly all the time. And it just felt like he was like one of the biggest stars in the world there for a year and a half.
Okay.
And it's been an A-lister for a long time. Luke Wilson.
I think so. Because it's right around here is the run for him that is actually like the mainstream run where it's like Legally Blonde 2, Charlie's Angels, this. I'm not necessarily saying I like those movies more than Bottle Rocket or Tenenbaums, but
he was a bankable.
He was
getting the lead,
you're like,
lead white guy roles.
Like in a different
movies.
era, this guy's in the Harrison Ford zone.
Oh, wow. Jesus.
Don't you think so?
That's blasphemous
That
what you just said.
Jesus.
I'm just,
that's a wild take.
First Frank
in a
Sinatra's
different
not
era,
handsome, and now
you don't
Luke
think
Wilson's...
that's what Luke Wilson's career trajectory is?
No, he's a comedy actor. He's like Charles Grodin or something. He's
Harrison Ford.
What?
He's not a action leading man. Harrison Ford's an action leading man.
He became one. I don't know.
Yeah, he was Han Solo.
I think that there's something about Luke Wilson that has like the kind of like rugged...
Let's have the Luke Wilson conversation now.
Okay.
I don't think he's very good.
In this movie or across the board? I
just think in general, I think there's a little... I think he kind of lucked out with some of being in the right movies in the right times kind of things.
I think he is the beneficiary of having a very creative brother and forging a partnership with Owen and Wes Anderson. And those guys put him in position to succeed a few times. He's very good in Bottle Rocket because he plays this kind of doe-eyed, innocent type. And he's kind of been he replicates that in Charlie's Angels, in Legally Blonde, in this movie where he's kind of like, I'm just a regular guy, you know?
I'm overwhelmed by all this. Yeah. I don't know. Let's wait till probably unanswerable questions. I'm not as big.
He is a regular guy. Like that's a guy who loves to have beers.
Apparently he's Harrison Ford.
And
Well, I love his persona now
and play golf
as like a
he's like a
linchpin of the
for like
Callaways.
cricket golf shirts.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, he loves golf. He loves bourbon. He loves hanging out. You know, he's like that kind of dude. You definitely could stumble upon him at a semi-private course on a Thursday morning, just kind of maybe hanging with a Tecate. You know,
he's a great guy.
Seems like a great hang.
Have you ever met him?
Haven't met him. I'm excited to see The Fugitive with Luke Wilson, directed by Chris Ryan, though.
You guys, I don't think you're reading me right.
That was a heat check. So you said...
I think
Luke
when
Wilson
the tables get turned on Chris Ryan, all of a sudden everyone else is a dick.
Did you say... So let me just make sure I have it right. You're saying Luke Wilson is better than Harrison Ford and Frank Sinatra.
I'm saying that they fucked up by not waiting to make Star Wars when Luke Wilson was around so that he could play Han Solo.
So you think there was an action movie path for Luke Wilson that wasn't explored properly?
Yeah, I don't know if I think if Luke Wilson had stayed in game shape, I think there is like an action movie path for him. Yes.
Okay. Craig, did you hear Chris Ryan say that Luke Wilson could have been Harrison Ford?
Verbatim.
Yeah, all right. So we all heard that.
It's good stuff.
Elisha Cuthbert.
Mm-hmm.
No. 24. Season 1, right?
Yeah, but 24 season 1 was like...
Is that this year?
It was like 2001.
Uh-huh.
She's been on that show a couple years, then is in Old School. It feels like this is about as good as it got.
I
was always a huge fan.
What's the best... Just briefly, do you think it's Girl Next Door is her best performance?
Because that wasn't a good movie.
She's incredible on Happy Endings. I don't know if you guys watched that show.
Yeah.
I really liked her. I actually thought her career should have been more significant.
She's still around. She's on the ranch.
I feel like she should have been.
This is a great podcast from you.
The Ranch.
She's on the ranch.
She's on the ranch. In another life,
The Ranch is popular, though.
It is popular.
Elisha Cuthbert could have been Elaine May. Let me just tell you something.
It's good stuff.
Yeah.
This is a good new bit from you.
I do feel like
Unreasonable comps.
Yeah.
she could have headlined.
Chris Ryan's Unreasonable Comps is good.
Well, let me ask you, because I think everybody likes her.
Mm-hmm.
Why couldn't she have had that kind of Drew Barrymore rom-com where she just made like 3 straight rom-coms?
Because they stopped making those movies right when she got popular.
So that's what killed her. Those rom-coms died right when she was moving into the about to make rom-coms.
She pretty much never made another comedy after The Girl Next Door, which is weird.
Big screen.
Big screen. Yeah. She obviously went to television, but she's got like a comic timing and she's charming.
She's like really, 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 really good on Happy Endings. If you guys haven't watched Happy Endings, I think it's on Hulu. It's really super funny.
I think she's good in this movie.
Yeah.
Like her whole vibe the whole time. And I don't know. She's
that's such like the cast of Girl Next Door is like a real
Paul Dano.
Like lightning in a bottle movie. Yeah.
You want to vamp on The Ranch for 20 minutes?
No. Okay. But I'll vamp on Girl Next Door because Oliphant's in that too.
Yeah. He's good.
It's a movie that should have worked, and when you study the IMDb of it, you wonder why it didn't. But it just didn't.
I thought it was pretty funny.
It was fine.
The Girl Next Door has 6 credited screenwriters, so always a red flag.
But so does Armageddon.
Let
me tell you, those 6 guys could have been William Goldman in the right era.
Patrick Crenshaw, Apex Mountain?
Probably. He went out high.
Did we not mention You're My Boy Blue and What's Age the Best?
And Blue!
Yes, sir.
Do you trust that I do not want to see you die here tonight?
Sir, yes, sir.
Blue, you're my boy!
Thank you, sir.
Because You're My Boy Blue, along with Earmuffs, is in the lexicon.
Yeah, I had it for best quote, but I guess we should have mentioned You're My Boy Blue for...
And Pulaski is part of that.
Well, we did the bet, though, what's the best scene? It was the whole Blue
Yeah,
dying.
that's true.
But we should have given a special shout out to You're My Boy Blue. And Spanish was funny too, for some reason. Him just repeatedly calling some random guy Spanish. Joey Pants Award. A lot of nominees. I got to say, it's got to go to that guy from Mad Men. I don't know what that guy's name is. He's Jeremy Piven's henchman in this movie. Then he ended up on Mad Men the last couple years. And he's just one of those guys. He's been in stuff. I don't know what his name is.
Wait, is this the Joey Pants Award you're talking about?
The Joey Pants Award.
I think I have the winner here.
Well, more than that guy from Mad Men? What is that guy's name?
It's more just because really far background player in this movie who wound up kind of showing up at Patrick Adams, who plays guitar during Dust in the Wind, is the star of Suits.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good one.
That's interesting. Hold on. I'm trying to figure out who the...
It's a very, very deep cast.
Isn't that guy from Mad Men? He's very distinct looking.
He plays Bobby Barrett's husband. He's the mean comedian in the first season of Mad Men. He's also so memorable in Mulholland Drive, where he tells the story in the diner and then they go behind the dumpster in the back.
He's in something else too. He keeps popping up. It's definitely one of those guys. Would this movie have been better with Trey Buscemi or Michael K. Williams?
His name is Patrick Fischler.
Patrick Fischler.
Very,
See, I
very
didn't know
good.
that.
Very good character actor.
That's how you win the Joey Pants Award when I have no idea what your name is, but
Yeah.
I can name 9 things you've been in. Trejo Buscemi or Michael K. Williams? I think Buscemi maybe could have played the principal.
Mm-hmm.
I think Trejo definitely could have.
Trejo would have been a great frat member
in the frat. Like
Yeah.
he's just a mute guy they pulled in, doesn't say much, but he's intimidating. Michael K. Williams, I don't know how he fits in this movie. Would have been weird.
I'm not sure if I ever thought this movie needed one of those 3 guys.
Yeah, I probably didn't. tough category for this one.
I don't think anybody really fits the bill.
Saul Rubinek, they knew. It comes down to me, Sean William Scott and Andy Dick.
I'm gonna go Andy Dick here. I think
Don't sleep on Sean William Scott really going for it.
But Andy Dick
With,
really
the bad wig on.
Yeah.
Andy Dick's out of his mind in that one scene though. He's out of his mind.
He may have literally been out of his mind at
He
this
may-
time. Yeah. Yeah, I guess it's probably Andy Dick. There are a lot of moments where Ferrell is really going for it though.
Yeah.
You know, we're going streaking at the top of his lungs is pretty Rubinek-esque.
I love the speech Ferrell gives, or like what he says to those guys when they have the cinder blocks tied to their dicks.
Yeah.
He's like, do you believe that I don't want to see you get hurt?
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I would say Andy Dick.
Okay.
Picking nits. Why would Ellen Pompeo's character ever touch Luke Wilson in a million years? There's like 9 different times she should have been running. That's the biggest flaw of this movie.
Yeah.
It's the first I hadn't talked in 20 years. He's drunk and spills a drink and ruins her dress at a wedding. And then the next time we
reaches
see it, it's like,
underneath of it to
hey,
clean
good to
it
see you
up.
again.
Yeah.
It's like, she's never seeing him again after that. Then they're on a date and a girl in high school wearing an Oakwood High jacket is like, hey, sorry about what happened with my dad, and makes it very clear they're involved. He somehow rebounds from that. And she has a kid.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, this is the stepfather for your child?
And even if like he convinces her otherwise, like, you know, he breaks up a relationship with Mark. It's not like.
But counterpoint, this is a woman who dated Mark for 2 years, who is a scumbag. So maybe she doesn't have the best taste in men. Maybe she doesn't have the right radar.
The perfect girl with horrible taste in men. What a movie character.
I mean, she's not the best. They didn't really work too hard to flesh her out.
Like, should they have dated?
Maybe
in
she
high
just
school?
saw a little bit of Harrison Ford in him. Maybe she was like, I believe in you.
That's
Luke Wilson.
probably what it was. That's probably what it was. You're like a young Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Another picky nits. Why wouldn't Vince Vaughn be a cheater?
I think that they have to like zip that up so that he stays within the bounds of any kind of normal behavior, because
So you're
otherwise
rooting for him?
he's just Satan. Yeah.
That's one of the best scenes in the movie when he is alone with the girl.
He tells the girl.
You know, and she kisses him and he pulls back. That's actually a really weirdly well-acted scene in a movie that is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I thought I get it why they did it. They have to make, like you said, they have to make him kind of not evil.
Best quote. Any other picking nit? You want to pick some nits? Anything?
I'm so excited for best quote.
Best quote comes down to Blue, you're my boy. Fill it up again. Fill it up again. Once it hits your lips, it's so good. Wait, I thought we were in the trust tree in the nest. Were we not?
My favorite part.
And then the whole thing with the earmuffs. Whoa, what the fuck? Why am I in front of the kid? All you gotta do is say earmuffs to him, and then you can say, fuck shit, bitch. And then Frank goes, cock balls.
He's like, you don't have to take it that far.
Yeah. I absolutely did. Cock balls. I don't know. Anything else?
I mean, there's a lot of lines. I don't know if you want me to save. Would we just go in best moment, or would it go in
best quote? It's got to be "Blue, you're my boy," right?
Yeah,
that's the memorable quote other than earmuffs.
I do love the entire toast speech at the wedding. You know, when he's like, you know, Frank's dad's here. I haven't seen him in 8 years.
Love you, Dad.
It's like, love you, Dad. And then Mitch starts talking and he's like, true love is hard to find. Sometimes you think you have true love and then you catch the early flight home from San Diego and a couple of nude people jump out of your bathroom blindfolded like a goddamn magic show ready to double team your girlfriend.
Did you have any bad speeches at your wedding? Any out of control speeches?
Not at my wedding. This is a long time passion of mine, and the thing I miss most about going to weddings is the bad best man
brutal speech. Yeah.
I went to a wedding once where the guy literally got heckled. It went for 15 minutes and people were just openly.
And was he just like going through
he was
the
just
groom's
drunk
like
and rambling and
past
he really wanted to
relationships?
get to the finish line and people were just out of their minds. It is great. I always thought this should be a TV show. I would just or a YouTube channel of just best man
brutal
speeches.
wedding toasts.
Yeah, brutal wedding toasts would be the best. The
like live PD.
The one with the ladies can get worse.
That's funny.
Really?
Yeah, because they'll bring up something. A little jealousy might come out, or like some. Well, that time when you were dating Bob for that time, and you kind of see the guy go, Bob, who's.
If you told me 5 years ago you'd get married first, I never would have believed it.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Carrie and I, my wife, we were staying at a hotel once in San Diego for a soccer tournament. And we was actually the Torrey Pines Hotel where they have the golf course. We'd always wanted to stay there. And there was a wedding there, and we had a balcony that looked out onto the wedding. And we ordered a bottle of wine, and we just sat there and we listened to all the toasts before. And it was so much fun. And it was exactly how you thought it was. Like the guy gave a great toast. The two maids of honors together went up, which is always a disaster. They did the combined toast. One of them was too drunk. It was a train wreck. The dad gave his speech was too long. It was great. I was like, this is so much fun.
It's amazing that
I would
we
watch
just
this.
repeat these rituals literally every day in America. That it's like no one has like solved it. Have you ever been to a wedding and been like, well, that was perfect. No one made a misstep. It's because it's hard to do.
Well, what's crazy is playing the same songs now in 2019 that were the weddings that I was going to.
But there are some things
ago.
about like Shout works. Like I defend Shout, but
is
then
this
there's
just
some
going
where you're just
forever?
like, why are we still listening to this? Like, this Michael Jackson song 30 years later.
This movie also nicely slots into my open your movie with a wedding theory. Same shit.
Yeah.
It's just like, let's get a party
The
going right at the
Godfather,
top.
Wedding Crashers, and Old School.
The Holy Triumvirate.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like that and then Luke Wilson as Indiana Jones. Those are my two favorite trilogies.
What's it,
I
Jack
can tell you guys are
Ryan?
going to let this go.
Yeah. Clear and present Wilson.
Could this be remade as a 10-episode Netflix show? So we've seen this movie get made over and over again where somebody goes back to college. You even mentioned Melissa McCarthy last year. I haven't even seen that. My kids really like that movie.
Yeah, it's funny.
But could this just be 30-somethings at college? I don't think it could.
Has there never been a frat TV show like this?
No, but I also think that they would belabor the sort of midlife crisis elements of it, and that's not really why I watch Old School.
Yeah.
It's not to be like, I hope Frank gets back together with his wife.
Wait, can I add one more quote?
Yeah.
I really like when Mitch says I wasn't looking for a girl like that, and Beanie says, well, Columbus wasn't looking for America, my man, but that turned out pretty okay for everyone.
There's also a really underrated moment when he first gets the house, and Mitch says, a professor lived here for like 30 years and died. And Beanie goes, that's awesome. I also really like, I know a great sand guy.
Yeah, that's with the hockey stick. Yeah.
Probably unanswerable questions. This is a great one. This is one of my favorite unanswerable questions ever. Who's the 2019 Craig Kilborn who would have been cast in Old School if it came out in 2019?
Oh my God.
Who's the stunt casting?
It's like a YouTube guy. Isn't it like Logan Paul or something? Wouldn't it be like somebody who's like...
Oh, it's got to be older though. Also feel like it has to kind of be a sports person. I was thinking it's Joe Buck.
Joe Buck.
It's like if Joe Buck was the boyfriend. As Joe Buck as Mark.
That's fucking crazier than me thinking that Luke Wilson could play Indiana Jones.
Craig Kilborn was crazy. No, but it's got to be it's two scenes. You're the boyfriend.
Why
and
not
you're just
Gus
intentionally
Johnson?
being a dick. Gus Johnson.
Rise and fire.
Jim Nance.
Yeah.
Hello, my friends. Who is it? I don't know.
What are you trying to nail? Like somebody who is unexpected or who is like a broadcaster?
I was saying an unexpected person from the TV sports.
What about Mark Jackson?
Jeff Van Gundy?
Yeah. Mama, there goes that man.
Would it be like Trevor Noah? Somebody who doesn't act, but it has to be somebody who's famous. Who is it?
It's Jalen. It's Jalen Rose.
Jalen, well, he would never do that though. That's Jalen's a good one though.
That would be great.
I'd do it. Tell him to call me. That's funny. Probably an answerable question. Could they have improved the Luke Wilson spot?
Wow.
Well,
you guys fucking
definitely not Harrison
stabbed
Ford
me in the back.
So we cross Harrison Ford off the list because we have the stronger Harrison Ford.
Would this movie have been better with Owen Wilson as the star?
Yeah.
Yes.
The Juliette Littman said the same thing to me.
This
just
goes
before we
back
started.
to the Luke Wilson conversation.
Okay.
I think he's a little bit born on third base in this movie. There's other people in this role that I would have wanted more.
I don't know. I like him.
This is not a role where you can do any more than what he does.
he needs to be like he needs to be both smart and a little spaced out, you know?
One of my favorite things about this movie is inexplicably, like, I know they're supposed to obviously have had a lot of like frat parties and stuff, but there's a couple of scenes where like inexplicably a character looks brutally hungover, and you can tell it's because the actor is brutally hungover. Like when they meet in the diner and Vince Vaughn's paying for breakfast with all the guys.
Yeah.
He looks like his night just ended. And it's like, I love that look that Luke Wilson has for most of this movie where he's just like circles under his eyes.
Yeah.
And all the guys are coming up to me like, Godfather. And I think he just really does like, had 6 natty
You didn't
lights
mention
last
the
night.
Godfather thing, but that part's pretty funny too.
Yeah.
And also they say that in front of Ellen Pompeo, who is still nonplussed.
It's
still
like the
this might be-
post-fight. It's
might
like
be the stepfather.
It's a
for my
great
child.
like Fight Club joke. It's like a great like, you don't talk about this outside of, don't talk to me about this at work.
I'm sure you could improve upon Luke Wilson, but I wouldn't change him. I love the Sunshine State. Gorgeous, you know? Gorgeous. That scene is great.
Okay. The only other
I can tell you're
unanswerable
coming
question.
around to my way of thinking on this.
No, it's one of the worst takes I've ever heard on a podcast. It's staggering that you said that about Harrison Ford, but we're going to move on. We won't bring this up on every other episode of this show.
Frank Sinatra is fucking handsome. That's all I can tell you guys.
You're next. You know that, right?
I know.
You got one. I got one.
Okay, I know.
Who won the movie?
It's Todd Phillips for me because of everything I said. He's about to become, in many ways, he's bigger than Apatow. Like nobody thinks of him that way, but if you think about how successful his movies have been, he's bigger than Apatow. I mean, his next movie is a Joker movie.
Mm-hmm.
So he's got it. And also, I don't know if people really know this, but Todd Phillips is probably going to be nominated for an Oscar this year because he produced A Star is Born, because he and Bradley Cooper are producing partners. And so if A Star is Born wins Best Picture, you might see Todd Phillips on that stage accepting the award.
I didn't realize that Bradley Cooper voice.
Doing Andrew the Giant as Bradley Cooper.
I remember there was a great moment when Bradley Cooper like premiered Star is Born, I think at Toronto, and he went up on stage and he was just like, I just remember when Todd Phillips gave me a card that said, you can do anything. Or when are you going to start believing in yourself the way I believe in you? And I was like, this is fucking amazing because Bradley Cooper is Allie and Todd Phillips is Jackson.
It's a real thing though. I mean, that's the movie that made him a movie star. And there's a really good story that we ran on the Ringer right when we launched in the summer of 2016 by Mike Powell, is a profile of Todd Phillips. And Todd Phillips is a great quote, and Cooper's quoted in that story. Jonah Hill's quoted in that story. A lot of people go to bat for him because he definitely picks people at the right time.
Yeah.
You know, he picked Will Ferrell at the right time. They wrote a movie for Vince Vaughn at the right time. That's a real skill. And clearly he learned that from Ivan Reitman, who was amazing at that in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. So my vote is Todd Phillips.
I'm going to go Vince Vaughn just for variety. It's just, wow. I think he's incredible. Every single line he has is quotable.
And Bill will go with a different candidate.
I'm going with Will Ferrell because it launches
is.
the Will Ferrell comedy run.
There it is. Tic-tac-toe.
Great.
Sorry, Luke Wilson.
Should I have given you a note that says nobody believes in you like I believe in you in like 2012 when you're running the triangle in Grantland?
Yeah, I think you probably literally did. Right?
You should have given me a note that said, in a different time, I think you could have been Harrison Ford.
That would have totally worked. Before we go, just quick Godfather stuff that we promised.
Sure. Why don't you also make sure you tell people what we're doing next week, what you're doing next week?
Oh, Shay and I are doing The Fast and the Furious, the first one, which is really phenomenal and has really held up. So that's happening. Biggest beat of Fennessey's career.
We should preface it by saying you're about to hear fake fucking news from Bill, because Bill is going to use his own vortex of like selective people who've responded to him that have disagreed with Sean and I.
I just want to talk about the compound.
Okay, he just wants to talk about the compound. Yeah.
Okay.
I think we should circle back on.
We can circle back to that later.
Thing, but yeah, no, this is a tough beat.
We asked where the compound was. None of us really knew. We had some guesses. I
think we guessed Jersey and Westchester.
Right.
And the actual location is Long Island, where Sean is from.
That's right. I am from there. Here's my thing.
And how many people reached out to you and said you
completely
betrayed
I
Long
got
Island?
7 emails, which is a lot of emails about a podcast. So that the compound is in Long Beach, which is in the Southern Shore. And my message to the Southern Shore is fuck the Southern Shore. I am from the Northern Shore of Long Island, and I'm North Shore till I die. And I'll tell you what, there's some perfect circuity here, which is that the person who is also from the North Shore, from my hometown, is Todd Phillips, director of Old School. So if Todd Phillips were here with us today, I'm sure he would say, fuck Long Beach, fuck the Corleone compound, North Shore.
So one reader, Ian Lewis, said that in order for Sonny to drive to Connie's house, he would have most likely had to take the Parkway to leave Long Beach and drive to the Bronx or wherever in New York City they lived. And that's why they said the Causeway, which is probably the shorthand term for whatever. They also said the tip-off, if you knew from Long Island, or if you knew like what it was like back then, you called the operator and you said LB4. You said LB3, and that was like some
Long
sort
Beach.
of tip-off.
Yeah.
And I got a lot of different emails about the timeline of the movie, which I thought were interesting, about when Michael came back, what year did this start, when did it go all the way through? And basically, when Sonny's driving in the toll booth, randomly it's the Bobby Thompson's Miracle Home Run Game, which was like, I think...
Is that on the radio?
Yeah, it's on the
I
radio.
don't think I've ever even noticed that.
End of September 1951. And then the thinking is, then Pacino comes back shortly after, then sees Kay
Because the wedding is in 46, right?
The wedding's in 46, so that takes us about 6 years. Kay Adams comes back, or he goes to see her in 52, and then by around 56, that's when the christening happens.
Wow, I didn't know it took place over that long of a time period.
Yeah, so we're thinking like 55, 56 for that.
So how long is he in Italy for?
So Michael, his Knicks tickets were 10 years old at that point. Russell was coming into the league. He wasn't able to go to as many games because he fell behind in Italy. But,
he would get like box scores from like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. In Sicily, it was really hard to follow the Knicks.
Yeah.
Like Fabrizio really had to go into town and get box scores for him.
Fabrizio.
Another thing that people pointed out, hold on. I had a couple emails. The reason they didn't kill Carlo right away, we said part of it, which was the Don didn't want, he had made the promise to whatever. It's his son-in-law. He's not going to kill his daughter's husband. But one reader theorized that was why they pushed Tom out, because it just wanted to be Michael would be the one that got rid of Carlo.
Yes.
And not Tom, too.
But we were right, I think, and it was in the book about it would have tipped off Barzini if they killed Carlo, because that was the direct connection. And then somebody else said Carlo was like on the phone when Michael comes home.
We were talking about that because they said to
listen
he for the phone
talking.
calls.
Right.
Vito tells Michael to have somebody watch like the exchanges, like the phone call exchanges.
And then in the book, Polly calls in sick and they trace his calls, and he's going across the street from the compound a couple times. So that's how
people
they knew that was
who responded to us felt very strongly that there is no way, and this is apparently true in the book, that Paulie was not sick and that he was just a part of the setup, which is something we kind of talked around a little bit.
Yeah. So that's it.
And then also you forgot about the fact that we never said Frank Sinatra wasn't cool. That wasn't the point that we were trying to make. And this becoming an ongoing bit is one of the worst things you've ever done in the history of my career. And I would just like to state for the record that I never said Frank Sinatra wasn't cool, merely that Johnny Fontane is not a replica of Frank Sinatra. And believing that is a falsehood.
I think we're both right.
Okay.
I think Sinatra was mad because he felt that Johnny Fontane was supposed to be him.
It's obviously it's supposed to be From Here to Eternity. It's supposed to be him getting that part. I see
Sinatra's point.
Yes.
It'll make him a big star.
He saw Al Martino and he's like, we didn't do the Al Martino award.
Okay.
For Old School.
What's the Al Martino award again? You have to
the worst actor in Old School.
What's Craig Gilmore?
Craig Gilmore. No, he won an Al Martino award. There you go. And then finally, Jason Cox emailed, what happened to the kids Kay was teaching when Michael turned up?
I think that there's an assistant teacher.
That's a great question.
Is that really something that people...
So I actually went back and because I was like, there must have been another teacher. And then I watched, and it's just her with all the kids.
Oh my God.
And she just abandoned all these
Godfather
kids in the middle of the street.
4 is about what happens to those kids. The new generation.
I like the idea of all those kids just being dead because Kay goes off.
I know. Those kids are just out there.
That's
2 days
how Children
later.
of the Corn starts. Is all those kids are out in a field with a cult.
It's really funny.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's it. The Fast and the Furious is coming next week on the Rewatchables. Thanks, Sean. Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Bill.
All right, thanks to The Flat Circle, Chris Ryan's new True Detective show, appearing on all Ringer platforms following the first episode and second episode.
Yeah,
True
so they
Detective.
put two
it's a
up on
doubleheader.
Sunday. Yeah.
Thanks to The Big Picture, Sean Fennessey's movie podcast. Thanks to Proper Cloth. You've made a list of resolutions. How realistic is it? Set a realistic goal this year. Wear a shirt that actually fits from collar to cuff. Proper Cloth makes it easy to get a shirt that fits. Every shirt made to order, guaranteed to fit you. Go to propercloth.com/rewatchables. Use gift code rewatchables to save $20 off your first shirt today.